What's going on, guys? My name is Ryan. Welcome into the channel. I want to thank you guys for clicking on this video. Today I'll be talking about The Best Christmas Pageant Ever. The film was directed by Jenkins, which he is most notably known for the Chosen series, which I've never watched, but a lot of people have really shown a lot of love to that series, so I would imagine that they are definitely going to check out this film. The film stars Judy Greer, Pete Holmes, Belle, Wright, and Lauren Graham. Now, what is this film about? Well, it's about a town that is celebrating a Christmas pageant, and not just any Christmas pageant. This is the 75th anniversary for celebrating that Christmas pageant. A lot of people are really passionate about this Christmas pageant, and you have these kids, the Herdmans, who lie, cheat, steal, and they bully, and the town really doesn't like them, and they come to this church one day and they're wanting food, but they're not really interested in church, and they're not really interested in being a positive types of kids. So then they want to actually join the Christmas pageant, and this really ticks off the church and some of the moms in that church as well. And with this film, you have a mom played by Judy Greer. She ends up being the director of the pageant. After the normal director, she ends up actually getting hurt, so she can't actually participate in this pageant anymore. So you have Judy Greer actually taking over to actually make this a reality on stage. Now, from a perspective of this film going into it, I just wanted to see this film mainly because it's a Christmas film. I wanted to support it. We don't get a lot of films like this in theaters anymore. Most of the Christmas films we do get, they're on Hallmark Channel or Netflix, and most of the ones we do get in theaters, you get like a Violent Night or a Red One, comedy kind of film, but nothing like this where it's more family oriented, a PG film, a very clean film, very inoffensive. I think those that are religious are really going to like this film. It does have lots of religious undertones in it, but I also think those that really don't have a religious background, I don't think that this film is actually very offensive. I feel like it really does balance out both of those that have faith and both that don't. Now, from a comedy perspective, obviously it's very clean. I wouldn't say there's a ton of jokes in here. There are some light chuckles, which I definitely agree that I did have a little bit of chuckles throughout this. My audience, though, was dead silent. They weren't really laughing, so I don't know if it was connecting with them or they really enjoyed the film, but they really didn't have any reaction to this film, and even when the film ended, no kind of reaction whatsoever. So I'm not sure how people will take this film, if they are thinking this is going to be a full-fledged comedy or what they're really thinking. But for me, going into this, I knew that it would be inoffensive, and it's a cute movie to an extent. There's a lot of child actors and actresses in here, and I think they all do a pretty good job. Specifically, there is one kid in here, the girl, her name is Imogen, and she does a really good job. And I even think some of the other children in here do a really good job as well. I don't think anybody is really acting really bad. I do think that some characters, they don't have a lot of arc here, and some of the other town folks, especially the Karens, I would say, so to speak, that don't really like these Herdman children, they really don't have much of motives or really too much of character development. You're not really getting a lot of that in here. You're getting a lot of just how these Herdmans, how they really affect everybody else's lives. You can tell that they're very poor, and there's moments in here where you see the family trying to connect with the Herdmans, specifically the Bradley family. They try to actually, give them food and be good citizens. And I think from the perspective of a positive standpoint, I think that there is moments in here where you're really going to feel like that Christmas joy, like the way that the town is set up. You have the snow on the ground, the Christmas traditions, obviously with like the decorations and such, all that is really cool. And I think with this film, the fact that it does a really good job with kind of get you into the Christmas spirit. It's one of those films that you can kind of sit back, relax, and not really think too hard about it, because the plot here, it's pretty simple. There's not really too much to think about, and the characters overall, there's not a lot to think about as well. But if I had to really get into negatives of this film, I think the characters that don't really like the Herdmans all that much, I think certain characters that do switch their tone throughout this film, later on in the third act, it just kind of is like a light switch. They just switch right away. I feel like there's characters in here, especially the dad played by Pete Holmes. He just has really a few one-liners and doesn't really have too much to really add to the film, which is a shame because I do think there are characters in here that could contribute a little bit more, but they don't really do a whole lot for them. The Herdmans, they don't really dive into the children and their family as far as like the mom and dad. We do get one scene where you have the Bradleys actually show up and give them this ham, and you can tell they're not in the best of neighborhood. The house that they live in looks very beat up and kind of broken down a little bit, so you can tell that they don't live in the best conditions. But I guess you can just kind of just think that maybe like the parents aren't around, or maybe they're drunks or they're drug addicts. Who knows? We never get that kind of, information or anything like that. But at the same time, I also heard that the book doesn't go into that as well, and I guess this movie goes a little bit more into the Herdmans and builds them a little bit more. So that's interesting that the movie did that. It's a nice little touch that they added that into the movie versus the book not really giving too much description. I think overall the movie is a safe movie. It's a movie to kick off the Christmas season and check out, and I think honestly this is not going to get a long theater release, and it's going to go straight to VOD, and it's going to be released right before the Christmas time where everybody can watch this at home. And I think this is going to be one of those movies where it gains more traction at home on VOD. It's not a Christmas classic by any means, but as far as a score for this film, I would give it a 3 out of 5. It's a cute movie. It has some interesting scenes, very simple story. The comedy, there's a little bit of chuckles here and there, but don't expect a hilarious comedy. Don't expect characters that are fleshed out too much. Just take it for what it is. Enjoy the fact that it is Christmas time, and enjoy the fact that, it's one of those happy movies where you really can't think too much, and you really can't think too much about the characters and the way they actually act. Like I said, a light switch flips on, and some of these characters change really quickly. And that's kind of the biggest thing with this movie, that I didn't really like all that much. But overall, I had a good enough time. I had a few chuckles, and I left the theater mostly satisfied to check this film out. What did you guys think about this movie? Did you like it? Did you hate it? Did you just think it was kind of meh? And have you even checked it out yet? Are you going to wait to check it out on VOD or streaming? Leave in any old comments down below. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you guys next time.